Trying to get this check-in with you guys a little earlier than normal. Normally I've been waiting until bedtime to knock the video out, but trying to get it done much earlier because trying to do it right before bedtime sucks because I wait for the video to get uploaded to YouTube, and sometimes it takes a long time, and then when I say, oh, I'll just wait and trust that it'll upload itself, sometimes it doesn't. And so when I'm getting up in the morning, I'm having to scramble to try to get things figured out. And so maybe now if I get them done earlier, I can play with them a little before I go to bed and won't be so rushed, or I can still take care of my morning routines the way I need to, rather than kind of having to scramble if I have to figure out how to get these uploaded daily. So, I started a new workout program too. So I have this strength component that I'm doing, kind of like a starting strength. If you guys are familiar with starting strength, starting strength does 5x5s of your lifts, right? And they just do the big five, right? Deadlift, squat, bench press, pressing, and then rows. And so been doing that for a few weeks, along with my mixing and my snatch and my clean and jerk for my Olympic lifting. And then I just kind of started this, I don't know what you would call it, whether it would be bodybuilding or high intensity training, because the breaks aren't very long in the middle of sets, right? And so some sets are like a 15-second break, and then you're in the next one. And so it does get a little hard, but it's high repetition too. And so, but more bodybuilding style movements, isolated. Like today I did shoulders and chest. Tomorrow I think is like biceps and something else, but they're very high repetition, short breaks, lots of movements. And so it's been kind of interesting. The way I've been feeling with doing the strength stuff with this is kind of been feeling more full in my body, and then cutting on my calories too to try to lose some weight as well. And so the progress is, it is where it is right now. Like I said last time, it's going to be close, but we're going to do it. You know what I mean? Like we're not failing, and we're going to push it. You know what I mean? That's why I started another workout program, trying to get me where I need to go. So, today I posted, do you have discipline? And it's an interesting concept, especially when you look at the way people think about that word. Some people posted, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't know if it's necessarily a sometimes thing. I think you either do or you don't. And I do believe that you can have discipline in some areas of your life and not others, which still kind of sounds weird, because I think if you're a disciplined person, you should be disciplined in fairly every area of your life. I think we may have, and if that's not necessarily true, that a disciplined person is disciplined in every area. I think you have areas where you're more disciplined than others, right? And so I thought about, like, when I got clean off drugs, I was very disciplined in my daily routines, right? I would go to a meeting every morning. I would read my literature at the meeting. I would read my literature every night. I'd get step work done. I'd hang out with my sponsor. I'd call my sponsor almost daily at the same time, right? I would go to a night meeting, and then we would hang out. And I was very disciplined in those things. But other areas of my life, I didn't have a lot of discipline, right? My room was still a mess. My car is dirty. I'm still somewhat chaotic in my behaviors and things that I say. And so, like, I was trying to think through, like, do I believe that I could be disciplined in some areas but not others, right? Like, I saw a guy today who is very anal about his clothes, right? It's very much ironed. Shoes are always cleaned up, right? Hats are always well taken care of. He always looks really good, but does not have the ability to wake himself up on time to get where he's got to go. Like, he is so undisciplined in that area. And so, like, I don't know. It's one of those things I'm still trying to process through, of like what that truly looks like. And so, but I do believe that for me, I'm getting disciplined, but I'm not disciplined yet, right? As you can see, I've been talking about shaving every week, and this week I still have to get it done. And so like, it's one of those things, like it's a work in progress. Like there's this constant, there's a constant work at it that I need to do, right? And I think it's something that's internal too. Like I don't think that I can be taught discipline without me wanting it, right? I've seen people go to the military, and when you watch them live outside of the military, they you would never know they were in the military. And so because you do see some people who go to the military, and they become very systematic in the way they function, right? And the things they do, the way their hair looks, the way they hold themselves, right? Like their shoes, right? Their clothes, everything is very matter of fact. And then you have those who get out of the military, and they were disciplined while they were in there because they had to be. And they get out, and it's like all hell's breaking loose again. And so like, one of the things that I do believe is that discipline is something that has to be internal, right? I have to desire to want to be disciplined in order for me to do it. Just like a lot of things, right? Discipline isn't just, it's not natural in that sense, right? Maybe there are some people who become very disciplined because that's how they were raised, but I still think it's an internal thing where people have to make the choice to want to live that way. And so like I was asking one of my clients today, like I asked her, do you think you're disciplined? And she's like, I think so. And I was like, well, how many things have you told people that you were going to do that you haven't done? And she's like, oh, a lot. I go, so then how do you say you're disciplined if there's lots of things that you've told people you were going to do that you've never done? Right? And so it's interesting the way like we characterize ourselves and the way we think about things. So the literature talks about we're great ones for manipulating the truth, right? And we're experts at self-deception. A couple weeks ago, I did a video on, do you lie to yourself, right? And I think that we lie to ourselves more often than we want to believe, right? We make ourselves sound better than we actually are, for whatever reason, because we don't want to believe that we're bad people, that we're losers, or we come up short. We want that to be for other people, but not for ourselves. And I think it's not until I get to the place where I'm okay in acceptance of it, not necessarily okay with it, but in acceptance that I am a liar, or that I do come up short, or that there are things that I say that I don't follow through with, that I can't do anything about it, right? And so like, you guys have heard me quoted a bunch of times. The literature says it's easier for us to change our perception of reality than to change reality, right? I want my perception of myself to be good, right? And that's why like I'll make excuses for the way that I look, right? And it's okay that I'm fat or out of shape, and I'll justify self-love and all those other things that to not want more for me, right? Whether that be I don't believe that it's possible, or that I don't know how to get there. Whatever the reason is, right? I make excuses for my life being the way it is, rather than doing something about it and trying to make change. You know, somebody had posted on one of my Facebook posts a few weeks ago, don't set your goals so high that you fail and then hate yourself or feel like a failure as a result of it, or get depressed because you can't achieve. So like I was saying, they said don't set your goals so high that you don't achieve them and then start to hate yourself or feel depressed or whatever it was, because the goals you set are too far away. But I think like if we don't set goals that are far away, right? So the whole idea, shoot for the stars, land on the moon, right? I'll never know what I can be or where I can go if I don't try. And simple, small goals, yes, they're nice, they're cute, they get me moving in the direction that I want to go. But like, I don't know about you, but I want greatness for myself, right? For so long I said I want to be all that I can be, right? Like as if like I was in the army or something. But I want to be all that I can be, right? Like I want to be everything that God intended for me to be, but I'll never know what that looks like if I don't ever push myself to the brink of what I believe I'm capable of doing, and then finding out how much further that I can go. And that's kind of the mindset that I'm in right now. And I think I've for the most part, have kind of always been that way. To think that there's more available out there. You know, it's crazy. I don't even have bad technology. I actually have fairly good stuff. And for some reason, my GoPro wants to keep turning off on its own, and interrupting my conversation. You know, it's interesting. That's a funny thing too. I'll get back to the topic I was talking about, but I was made a comment to the other day, like, sometimes it's difficult to know what is God and what is the devil or the enemy, right? And I like to believe sometimes things happen because we're doing things in such a positive way that the enemy is fearful that somebody might hear or see or experience what we're trying to show them, right? And so sometimes I want to believe that this is the enemy shutting off my camera on its own because he doesn't want somebody to hear this message. And then sometimes I think it's God just saying, dude, it's time to shut up. I'm sure you're listening right now going, it's God telling you to shut up. But I'm not going to shut up right now. So either change the channel or bear with it. You know, and but I want greatness for myself. And that's not to think that I'm God or great, right, or like special in that sense, but I do believe that the limitations that I set for myself with the way that I think about myself limit the ability for me to do the things God has truly called me to do, right? I don't think God has set us up to do these little small feats that we do, right? Feed the homeless, you know, help people, be there for people, right? No, I think God said, Jesus says, those who come after me will do greater things than I, right? And so, like, what do those things look like? Like, how great can we do things for God and his kingdom? We'll never know if we don't ever push the envelope, right? Push the envelope to find out just how far we can really go. How great can we really be? And I think there's a lot out there waiting for us that the disciples, right, were able to heal and with their shadows, just like Jesus, right, and with their words and their touch, and I think we fall short of that because we don't believe that that's possible for us. They weren't no different than us. They were just like us. They were regular people. Yes, they got to walk with Jesus. Yes, they got to hear him physically. Yes, they got to see him, but they were fishermen and normal tax collectors, normal everyday people just like us. They weren't the cream of the crop. They weren't the most educated. They were normal everyday Joes. And look what God was able to do with them, right? And so I believe, like, and the reason God chose them is because he wanted us to be able to identify with them, right? And Paul says, I will do great things with the weak and I will embarrass the strong, right? The wise will be shut down and the dumb or the foolish will be raised up. And so it's like, how great can we be, you know? And I think it starts with discipline, right? It starts with me cutting things out of my life that are unnecessary. It means me growing into things that I need from my life in order to get where God wants me to go. You know, it requires me to have study times and prayer times and worship and praise times and time with God, right? Jesus would wander off all the time to go pray to the Father. Do we ever wander off? Do we get up while everybody's still asleep and you know what I mean, and just sit there and be with God and his word and prayer and worship him? I don't, and I need to get better at that. But it's like, how great can we be? We'll only find out if we pursue it. And I think a lot of us are scared to find out just how good we can really be because we like to set the bar low because then there's low standards for us because to whom much is given, much is required. That's what I was taught, right? And so if I'm given a lot, which I really am, if I look at my life, I am blessed beyond measure, then there's a lot that God wants from me, right? There's a lot that he has put before me and I got to do it. You know what I mean? I know some of you are going to take issue with this, but I don't want to be a disappointment to him, right? I don't. I've been a disappointment long enough in my life to people, and Jesus went on the cross and he died for my sins. And what am I doing with that opportunity? What am I doing? Just not getting loaded anymore and living a good life and taking care of my family and working a good job and doing that kind of stuff? Or can I be doing more? Can I be doing ultimately what God has really created me to do? Have you ever asked that question? Like, what has God really called you to? Where does God really want you to go? Like really, like beyond what you think, beyond your comfortableness, right? Like get comfortable doing the uncomfortable. How far do you think Jesus wants to take you? That's the question. So these are things that I think about, I've thought about today, as I look at discipline and kind of have conversations with people about it. It's only going to get better from here, right? The only way we can go is up. And so we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, and we're going to see where we get at the end, right? And it's going to be awesome. I already know it. It's going to be better than we are today. But I don't know if anybody's told you today, but God loves you, and so do I. I hope you have a great day, and God bless you.